scoundrel. He's a scoundrel.
He is. Good. This should be so you remember who I am. From the Veterans Foundation, we operate the museum. I do. From that? Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to our facility yet or not. If you're passing by sometime, stop in. I see.
Excuse me, I was just going around this way.
Yes. I feel like I have not seen you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Good, thank you.
Spider-Man Day, I should be my Spider-Man.
Is it? Thank you.
Many got 4 to 6 inches of snow. They're bad for the snowboarders.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Chris. Thanks.
Say something inappropriate when you're not paying attention. You would never do that, would you? I would never do it on purpose.
Let's go ahead and start gathering up.
I can talk really loudly.
They are on, but these yeah, they don't tap right out.
He's like, oh, you, dude. Thanks for showing up. Guess I gotta share this med again. Only one, that's all you're getting.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and get started again. All right. Hope everybody had an opportunity to enjoy their lunch. We are going to jump back into the agenda. Starting us off first, we have the Sky Family YMCA Youth in Government. Are they, anybody here for them? All right, then we will skip them for the moment. After that, we have Southwest Florida Military Museum. Yes, sir, come on up. Looking forward to hearing from you this afternoon. Get us started off right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me to speak before you today. My name is Ralph Santillo. I am the founder and the president of Invest in America's Veterans Foundation and the Southwest Florida Military Museum and Library. We opened our doors 6 years ago on September 11, 2009, in a 1,300 square foot storefront. We celebrated our third anniversary by moving into our current 34,000 square foot building on September 12, 2012. We celebrated our sixth anniversary by presenting the Parade of Heroes in the city of Cape Coral, and we knew that we hit the big time because it was attended by the governor, Governor Scott, Congressman Clausen, and our own representative, Dane Eagle. Our motto is investing in America's heroes today for the rebuilding of America tomorrow. The primary mission of Invest in America's Veterans Foundation is to serve our veterans by providing the services they need to further their enjoyment in life. Our commitment to serve veterans and their families is for every generation. We provide over 200 free lunches weekly. Every Tuesday, you'll come to our facility and join us for lunch with over 150 World War II, Korean, and Vietnam veterans. Some of you have attended that, so you know what I'm talking about. We also provide special community dinners for the homeless and the lonely souls on Easter and Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. We provide over 100 families with dinners to take home every Thanksgiving. We bring our traveling museum to local schools. We visited over 25 schools last year and sent over 8,000 students through our bus for a tour. We provide veterans counseling services. Our VSOs are certified, and they put in over 200 hours every week. We provide transportation for relocating and transporting veterans to medical and some personal appointments. The Veterans Foundation provided assistance to 765 veterans in the year 2014 and over 4,000 in the past 5 years. These areas cover housing for homeless, food supplies, clothing, job placement, furthering their education, and helping to find new careers, just to name a few of the things that we do every day. All of these services are provided by the Veterans Foundation at no cost to veterans. In 2010, excuse me, we formed the Southwest Florida Military Museum and Library, who has its own mission. We are responsible to preserve the memories of the heroes of all wars by establishing this museum and library. We have thousands of artifacts and memorabilia entrusted to us by our local veterans and their families. We have the largest collection of military books in the area, with over 3,000, many of them coming from private collections from World War II historians. We offer free museum admission to visitors from all over the United States and foreign countries. We will exceed over 28,000 visitors this year. And some of those visitors have included hundreds of kids from our local schools and other community organizations. We are the largest military museum in Southwest Florida in just 6 years, and we're still growing. Our target population is Lee, Collier, Charlotte, and Henry County veterans, counting over almost 300,000. We deal with patients that come from the VA medical facility in Cape Coral. They had over 200,000 appointments this year that they served. We work hand in hand with the VA facility in Cape Coral and Diplomat Parkway. Things we do for the community. We developed the Military Tribute Banner Program in the city of Cape Coral by hanging over 100 banners of our veterans on the light poles on Cape Coral Parkway. We took the lead from our good Senator Benequisto, and we assisted our city council and our mayor in proclaiming the city of Cape Coral to be a Purple Heart city, along with the Purple Heart state that we now live in. We provide meeting spaces for 10 of our area veterans chapters for free. We instituted a school supply giveaway program over the last 3 years, providing needed supplies to over 500 school children each year. We handed out Christmas toys to over 1,000 kids over the past 2 years. We accomplished these tasks with an all-volunteer staff of 65 to 80 veterans and spouses that will put in 37,000 plus hours this year. Most of our volunteers are well over 75. I am 75. I'm the kid in the gang. This provides an opportunity for our senior citizens to become a useful part in our community. Our oldest volunteer, who is a greeter, is a 95-year-old B-29, B-52 bomber pilot who served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. He's there 4 days a week to volunteer for us. This presentation is a short explanation of who we are and what we do for our veterans population and our community. It is by no means everything we do on a day-to-day basis. But we need to do more. We need affordable housing for the young vets that are struggling to make it back into our communities. We need assisted living facilities for our elderly vets. We need better jobs programs and training for our veterans that have only been trained and have worked in combat conditions for the last 13 years. Veterans helping veterans. That's what we do. Some of you have visited our museum and our facility, and you're aware of what we do. I'd like to invite all of you to, at some time, come and visit us any day. Walk in unannounced. I never have asked for assistance from anybody in the 6 years that we've been in existence. But now I find us in the position that we must start looking at our future, and I know we need some help. So I am here today to ask for your help and your support. We are pursuing state funding this year through a member appropriation to support our volunteer services for our area veterans and our community. I would be happy to meet with any of you to discuss the possibilities and to answer any question you may have so we can continue the support that we provide for our veterans that really need help. We're the only organization I heard of today of all the worthy causes that specializes in veterans. They need help. We're here to give that to them, but in order for us to continue and grow, we're going to ask for your help if you can give it to us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, Representative Eagle.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ralph, for being here. Always proud of what you're doing. It really is a pride and jewel of my district, Senator Benaquisto's district, and really all of Southwest Florida, as your name indicates, because I know you serve veterans all around, and you'll certainly have my support on your request. And I wanted to mention, as you didn't take the time to do it, and I know your time was limited, on Veterans Day, November 11th, you're doing a fundraiser. Is that correct? A poker fundraiser?
Correct. Yes, we have the Young Republicans Club have asked us to partner with them,
Sure.
and they want to hold a poker tournament on Veterans Day from 5 o'clock on. So that fits in with our whole thing that we do all day long from 8 o'clock in the morning on.
Of course.
So any of you that want to take a gamble or two, it's a $100 buy-in. Come on and buy in. And they would like to get some dealers.
Right.
So if
I'll
anyone would
be a
like to
guest
be
dealer,
dealers,
and I wanted to invite my colleagues and any other elected officials in the room to help you do that as well. I'll be there, and I look forward to it. Thank you, Ralph.
that'd
for
be
everything you
great.
do.
Thank you all.
Excellent.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
for being here
opportunity.
today. Appreciate it. Up next, we have Goodwills. Do we have somebody from Goodwills? All right, we'll skip them from now. I see Darla, Bike Walk Lee, followed by the Housing Authority of City Fort Myers. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Darla Letourneau with Bike Walk Lee, which is a volunteer community coalition that's working to support walkable and bikeable communities and promoting policies to enhance the safety of the road users. First, I want to thank the delegation for your support of House Bill 231 last year. This is a bike safety bill that was introduced and championed by Representative Pasadomo and co-sponsored by Representative Fitzenhagen. We really appreciate Southwest Florida being a statewide leader on this important issue, and we urge you to continue that leadership in the coming session. We were disappointed that the bill was a casualty to the abrupt end of the session. It did pass both the House and the Senate almost unanimously. So we are hopeful that it will be enacted this coming year, and it's our top priority. Our letter covered really 4 topics, but I want to focus on our number 1 priority, which is the need to strengthen our laws and enforcement tools for making it safer in Florida for people who are walking and biking. For over a decade, Florida has had the dubious distinction of being the most dangerous state in the country for people walking and biking. Our pedestrian fatality rate is double the national average. Our bike fatality rate is triple the national average. And Lee County's bike fatality rate is 4 times the national average. So we have a problem. To date this year, there have been 17 bike and pedestrian fatalities and over 400 injuries. We may actually have a record number of injuries this year. The trend of injuries is really going up. While other states have found ways to dramatically cut bike and pedestrian deaths over the last couple of decades, Florida has barely made a dent. In a recent report by CDC, only Wyoming made a poorer showing than Florida. We know that the issues that have made Florida so dangerous are deeply embedded in road design and land use, and changes are going to require support from state laws enforcement, public awareness, road redesign, and driver behavior. But there is law change. There are law changes that are needed, and one of the reasons, according to another national report last year, that Florida is so dangerous is we have very lax driver safety laws, rated the 7th worst in the country. So we're asking you to support 2 bills that are before you this year. First, the House Bill 253, which is Representative Pasadomo's reintroduced bike safety bill. And second, don't know the number yet of the bill, it was HB1 last year, a bill to strengthen the texting law. So first, in terms of House Bill 253, that would hold drivers more accountable for hurting cyclists and other vulnerable road users. It clarifies the rules and responsibilities of all road users. It resolves some of the conflicts that exist in the current law so they can be more enforceable, and it increases the violations, increases the penalties for violations of the law. And it's broadly supported by the community. It's been voted support by the Lee MPO, the Collier County Commission, Naples Pathways Coalition, Bike Walk Lee, and endorsed in editorials by both News Press and Naples Daily News. In terms of texting while driving and other types of distractions are an increasing danger on our roadways, especially for vulnerable road users. And really all drivers. There was a recent article in September, I believe, that said that Lee County roadway fatalities were up 45% over last year. So everybody is endangered, and we really need to think of strengthening this law. So it's a primary offense, it increases the penalties, and especially near schools. There's yet another reason why we really need to focus on making our state safer. Walkable communities are really an important economic necessity. Last month, the Surgeon General issued a call to action to make walking a national priority with a focus on building communities where walking is safe and convenient. It's not only important for the obesity epidemic, but for the economic health of our communities. Both baby boomers and millennials alike want to live and work in walkable communities. We know the mayors of Southwest Florida get it, as evidenced by tomorrow's Walkable Communities Symposium sponsored by Mayor Henderson of Fort Myers. So in closing, we urge the legislature to make bike and pedestrian safety and walkability a higher priority and make it an integral part of the state's economic development strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Excellent. Thank you, Darla. All right. Up next, the Housing Authority, City of Fort Myers, followed by the Lee County Housing Finance Authority.
Thank you, Chairman Caldwell and Lee County Delegation. Many thanks for allowing me once again to come before you and to be on the agenda to discuss the possible merger of the Lee County Housing Authority and Housing Authority of the City of Fort Myers. I want a special thanks to Representative Eagle for sponsoring the bill last year. Didn't quite make it through, but we're optimistic that this year we will get it done. We're at the vanguard as far as this goes in the state of Florida. We are being watched by every other housing authority in every county in Florida to see if we can make this work, and if we can, how the transition takes place. But from a broader perspective, this is also something that is being pushed by Department of Housing and Urban Development. It's called regionalization. And regionalization will have rules to it that we may not be happy about. We think right here in Lee County we have a unique opportunity because we manage both housing authorities to get ahead of the curve and to make this happen. Just to give you one example, in Fort Myers, as a result of the redevelopment work we've accomplished over the last 6 or 7 years, our nonprofit has accumulated about $3 million in development fees. We serve as co-developer on all of our deals. Those funds could be used over in Lee County to work and redevelop some of those properties there, but having two separate agencies, we're not able to do that. So if I'm not sure who's going to sponsor it this year. We're working with Southern Strategies to help us get this thing through the House and the Senate, and hopefully we can get it done. So whatever you can do when the bill presents itself, hopefully it will, you will support it. If I could get off script for just 1 second, earlier I heard a discussion about Alzheimer's, and I was sitting there listening intently because my grandfather died from complications of Alzheimer's many, many years ago. About 20 years later, he now has 2 daughters that are both demented, my aunts. I'm leaving to go to Raleigh this weekend to go visit with them. But that is something that is impacting a lot of families, mine in particular. And whatever you can do by way of funding that can research that terrible disease, I would implore you to do that. It's difficult to watch your family members go through that. My family, fortunate enough, we've been able to manage it as best we can with in-home care. We have the resources to do it. Most families do not have those resources. And as a footnote to that, in Fort Myers, we're developing an assisted living facility through the Housing Authority. It's going to be 100% project-based rental assistance. So low-income families that are suffering through these kinds of family diseases, they can have a place where their family members can be relocated. So just wanted to get off script for a second. But please, if you can help us certainly with the merger, we'd appreciate it, and then whatever you can do for Alzheimer's, I certainly support that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Goodson. Up next, Lee County Housing Finance Authority. No? All right, we'll have Habitat for Humanity. Ms. Green? And we understand the YMCA folks are here, so you'll go after Habitat here.
Good afternoon. My name is Kitty Green, and I'm CEO and President of Habitat for Humanity of Lee and Hendry counties. I want to thank you for allowing me to address you today and to tell you that we just completed our fiscal year, and I'm happy to say that we put 55 families in Lee and Hendry counties into their very own safe, decent, and affordable home, and you all were a part of that. I have 3 things to mention to you today. 2 of them are thank yous, and 1 is an ask. The thank yous are really amazing. First of all, thank you for renewing the CCTCP program. That's the Community Contribution Tax Credit Program. You renewed that last session, and that is such a fabulous program for Habitat and for all of the companies that utilize it. This past year, we were able to build 28 new homes that were sponsored by companies utilizing the CCTCP program, and that's just in Lee and Hendry counties. That's not in the rest of Florida. So it's a wonderful program that the companies love that works beautifully for Habitat. So thank you so much, and I hope next session, when it's up again for renewal, you'll renew it again. I also want to thank you for the final time for the grant that you made to Habitat for Humanity in Florida in 2013. That was part of the federal mortgage settlement funds that came to the state, and you gave the Habitats in Florida a $20 million grant. I'm unhappy to say the funds are fully exhausted, but happy to say that every dime was spent on buying foreclosed homes across the state of Florida and rehabbing those homes and putting low-income families in those homes. 354 families were able to get a simple, decent home of their own through that program. So thank you so much for doing these important programs. My ask is the same one that I come to you every year on, and that is please use all of the Housing Trust Fund monies for housing. The SHIP funding is so important for so many agencies, Habitat for Humanity included. We use it as down payment assistance for our homeowners to make their mortgages significantly smaller. It's really important and used for many other things throughout the state. So please use all of the funding for the housing that it was intended for. Thank you. I just want to close by reminding you that state funding for Habitat for Humanity is an excellent investment because every dime is leveraged through private contributions and volunteer hours. And so we are really able to do a lot with the bit of funding that you give us. So thank you so much, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for us.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions? Thank you for being here today. Up next, YMCA, Youth and Government. And then we will start into our natural resources part of the day. How are you all this afternoon?
How are you?
Very well.
My name's Amber Richards. I'm the Youth and Government Coordinator in Southwest Florida, and I brought along one of my students, Pyle, who was directly impacted by an appropriation you guys passed, just to give you a little bit of information.
Good afternoon. I am Pyle Mujmundar, a senior at Fort Myers High School, and I'm grateful to say that for the past 4 years, I've been able to be a part of the YMCA Youth and Government program. This program allows students from all over Florida to become civically engaged and allow us to participate in a model government. Delegates who join can choose to join the executive, judicial, or legislative programs in which we learn the inner workings and actually replicate the exact same procedures as public officials and attorneys at our annual state conference in Tallahassee. Throughout the years, myself and the other 600 delegates across Florida have learned the importance and have actually become servant leaders through this program. Here in Fort Myers, we have attended many servant leadership conferences, national conferences on issues, become mentors for middle school students who want to become more civically involved, and have attended beach cleanups and other community service projects. Personally, this program has impacted me by allowing me to improve upon my public speaking and argumentation skills, which I believe are necessary, especially for students growing up all around the world. Each year, new students step up as leaders through this program and do their best to help this state community by creating an agenda, a legislative and executive agenda on issues facing Florida, and at our annual state of conference, we pass those needed bills to fix those issues. Currently, we are one of the 4 Ys that have received money to impact underrepresented districts in Florida. And in total in this program, there are 32 high schools. There are 30 high schools and 62 middle schools. In the future, I can't wait to see this program take new heights, and thank you for helping us reach those heights by passing our appropriation 2 years ago to continue to grow and support civic education. Our ask is that we hope you continue to support us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate it. Oh, yes.
Quick
Senator Richter.
question for you. So you said there's 3 programs, the executive, the judicial, and the legislative program. Do you
Right.
agree that the legislative is the most interesting of the 3?
I'm actually in judicial, but
Anyone else here want to take a risk like that? No? Representative Eagle?
I'm curious how she feels about fair districts in that case.
We're going to move on to our, as I said, natural resources part of the agenda. We're going to kick it off with the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, Ms. Hecker, followed by Responsible Growth Management Coalition.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having us here today, delegation. We really appreciate all the work that you do. Jennifer Hecker on behalf of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, representing our 6,000 members today. Our number 1 legislative priority this session is a request that we still need comprehensive oil legislation to suspend, study, and regulate all forms of well stimulation involving the underground injection of chemicals, including but not limited to fracturing techniques such as fracking. We learned at the Hogan well that acid stimulation that dissolves rock, which is not cleaning and does not fracture, also uses fracking chemicals. Though it's not considered fracking by the industry, it does pose similar risks to the environment and public health and creates that toxic flowback that needs to be disposed of. Therefore, it needs to be incorporated into the proposed oil and gas legislation to provide the proper legal foundation and basic safeguards needed in the face of expanded oil drillings in Southwest Florida. Also, no oil legislation should lessen or eliminate local governmental authorities to address zoning issues that arise from these industrial oil projects, like that from light, noise, truck traffic, or land use incompatibilities. The state doesn't and will not be addressing these, even with the updated state oil and gas laws and regulations that are contemplated and being put in place. You heard from Bonita Springs, and yesterday Collier County also voted that this is of great concern to them with the proposed legislation. So we'd really ask each of you to consider to support those communities and allowing them to continue to address these issues. Second, we'd request your support for legislation to restore state oversight of growth management to allow the Department of Economic Opportunity to conduct a needs analysis to ensure that development is needed and not being placed far from existing infrastructure and services without adequate means to recover those costs associated with providing those infrastructure and services, becoming a burden to existing taxpayers. This was something that we lost several years, and now with growth picking back up, we feel it's very important to look at this again and revisit this, see if we can bring it back to promote better growth management. Third, we'd ask for your support for Everglades restoration, which is so vital in protecting and increasing South Florida's water supply. By increasing the funding to this program closer to historical levels at least $132 million, or by dedicating a significant portion of Amendment 1 funds to be dedicated to Everglades restoration on an ongoing basis. Fourth, we'd request support for robust water quality monitoring and pollution controls, increasing funding for the total maximum daily load and basin management action plan programs, while not supporting any proposals that would lengthen pollution compliance timelines or lessen the role of proactive pollution prevention, such as is provided in the South Florida Water Management District Works of the District Rule. We'd also request that should fertilizer preemption legislation be reintroduced, that you would work to oppose this and maintain home rule. We also know that with development picking up and DEP determining several years ago that our stormwater standards for new development are not adequately, effectively capturing the pollution that development generates and protecting downstream waters, that it is now more important than ever that the legislature authorize DEP to develop and adopt updated stormwater standards across the state. They began to do so a couple years ago, but then when they went forward to adopt the rules that they had created, they found they didn't have specific legislative authority to do so. So now we would like to see the legislature provide that to them to be able to move forward. We've emailed you additional information about all these priorities, and we appreciate you considering our input on these very important matters. We thank you for your service to Southwest Florida.
Thank you, Ms. Hecker. Any questions from the committee? Appreciate it. Up next, Carl Vo, Responsible Growth Management Coalition of Lee County. Good afternoon, Carl.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Spider-Man Day. I didn't have a Spider-Man costume. and get ready. Maine just got 5 to 7 inches of snow. The snowbirds will be down soon.
Okay.
I urge you on fracking to pass the fracking bill that is sponsored by Senator Dwight Bullard of Cutler Bay and Darren Solo of Orlando to increase regulation on oil drilling, which effectively bans fracking in the state of Florida. You know, if you've been in Ohio, they have a lot of fracking going on there, and they never had too many earthquakes. Now they get between 15 and 20 a year. And if you've ever been in an earthquake, I was in one, and I don't want to be in another one. And the other thing is, if the fertilizer industry says, oh, you can pass a state bill on fracking, well, they'll want a state bill on fertilizer, and we want local control for both. Number 2, Florida Forever funds must be funded more than they are. We need at least $100 to $150 million. The poor people that put in their request for the land to be bought by the state have been working since the downturn, 5 or 6 years, and these people should be accommodated. I say this because of the lands for the panther and for the Osceola turkey. For you who do not know, I'm the turkey hunter. And the Osceola turkey is only found in South Florida. And people come because they want to get the Grand Slam, which entails getting 3 other species in different states. And when I first started hunting, it used to cost $1,000 to turkey hunt in the state of Florida. Now, if you want to go with a outfitter, it costs anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500. So we mean more that because thousands of turkey hunters come here to hunt turkeys, and Florida Forever Lands can do this. Please do not help Sid Kidson's request for funds or favors. He is the most despised man in Lee County, mainly because of the infrastructure that we will have to support when he builds his town. When I first started fighting for the whole Babcock Ranch, I sent a letter to Porter Goss, and Porter Goss said he was worried about the infrastructure way back 12 years ago. So this is why we should not help him. And we don't need his development in Lee County. The third thing is the land west of the Big O. Now, in my packet I sent to you, I said, please call hydrologist Bob Zobzak at gohydrology.com and kindly ask about his program to move the water west out of Lake Okeechobee. This will be done through a ground field that will percolate the water down subterranean and move it into the Everglades. We have willing sellers for this, and it's not going to impact the sugar industry whatsoever in that area. So look into that. You have his name and number there. The other thing I have is I asked that we could try to get the old golf course as a park, and I put down the name of the person you might work with that. I see we didn't do anything last year, and I hope we could get a park this year for the people of Cape Coral and our children and for generations to come. You know, I was in Vienna, and Vienna is the green city of the world. They have 12 square miles in with the city of Vienna that's all ecological land that they can picnic on, hunt, and fish on. And if you ever go to Vienna, every 5 or 6 blocks there'd be a tree park where they planted 150 to 200 trees, and it's beautiful if you go to Vienna. So that's what we need for Cape Coral. And lastly, I don't know, I asked Representative Caldwell if we have a horns and a tusk bill, but we don't. Massachusetts is just passing one now where they'll make it illegal to deal in elephant tusk and rhino horns and parts. And I think this could be an easy bill to pass because of what has happened in Africa in the past. Thank you for your consideration, and have a good session.
Thank you, Mr. Vo. Any questions? Yes, Representative Eagle.
Just one quick comment, and thank you for being here, and just because you brought it up to me last year about the park, and I do believe the city has that in their plans for the Bimini Basin proposal was to turn that into
Who
a park.
does?
The city of Cape Coral.
Yeah, they're working on it.
Right, so just wanted to
We
inform you
need
that.
your help too.
Of
If we
course.
could get $1 million from you guys, it would help.
It's
Thank you for
in the works. Thanks for what you're
reminding me
doing.
of that. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vo. Appreciate you. Up next, we have Treasure Coast Progressive Alliance, Mr. Silvestri. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir, Mr. Chairman? Thank you for allowing me to speak, honorable legislators. My name is Richard Silvestri from Fort Pierce, Florida. I'm Vice President of the Treasure Coast Progressive Alliance in Fort Pierce. Despite the name, we're a nonpartisan group that advocates for people's well-being, and environment is part of that, and we're a part of the environment. Last Friday in the Treasure Coast newspapers based in Stuart, Florida, a few miles south of where I live, was this editorial, and I'll just quote some excerpts from it. Fracking is the process of injecting highly pressurized fluids and materials deep into the ground. The process uses an enormous amount of water, a precious commodity. I've heard a lot of discussion today about water and conserving it and the need for it and all of that. Besides the loss of precious water, there are other risks, I'm speaking now, other risks outlined in the urgent case for a ban on fracking by Food and Water Watch. I've left you all a packet, has that booklet, A Case for a Ban on Fracking. You have my commentary here, however, I'm giving you what I call my executive summary. I really urge you to read my commentary in full. I didn't want to do it because it takes longer than this summary. At the end of my talk, you'll want to read those. Also, there's a complete text of that editorial from the Treasure Coast newspapers. If you don't feel compelled to read it, you should. After all, it is a major part of your duty as legislators according to the Florida Constitution, which I will summarize shortly. The majority of those Florida citizens I have encountered are against fracking. So I asked Senator Richter and I asked Representative Rodriguez, who are the Lee County constituents who requested these purported fracking regulatory bills. Who are the constituents that would ask for such things? Are they seated in the audience today? Regarding fracking currently and as proposed, I state the following potential violations of law. The Florida Constitution, Article 1, Section 1. All political power is vested in the people. That means you represent us. Section 2, all natural persons have inalienable rights, which are the right to enjoy and defend life, to pursue happiness, and to protect property. Article 2, Section 5B, each state officer shall swear that I shall devote personal attention to the duties of this office. I urge you to find out what the problems are with fracking. I just read that. You devote personal attention to the duties of this office. Section 7A, it shall be the policy to conserve, protect natural resources and scenic beauty. Adequate provision shall be made by law for the abatement of air and water pollution.
Sir, hi there. If we, as you can tell by the length of time we've been here, we care about what our constituents have to say.
May I finish, Senator?
If you would allow me, if you would please proceed and not make your presentation personal. You might disagree with the stance.
I don't think this is personal at all, frankly. And I take it personal that you interrupt me, Senator.
Well,
may I continue?
No, not at
all. All right,
moment.
thank you.
Excuse me. Excuse
Thank
me.
you. I have 60% hearing loss because I spent 26 years as a firefighter. So if I talk too loud, it's just a habit I've gotten into. I'll try to tone it down.
That you not make your presentation
Well, don't take it personally.
I'm not the person
all right.
you're speaking
Okay, I won't take your remarks personally. All right, Section 7A, it shall be the policy to conserve, protect natural resources and scenic beauty. Adequate provision shall be made by law for the abatement of air and water pollution, excessive and unnecessary noise, and for the conservation and protection of natural resources. Related to that, 2012 Florida statutes, Title 29, Chapter 403, Section .021, Legislative Declaration, Public Policy. The pollution of air and waters constitutes a menace to public health and welfare, creates public nuisances, is harmful to wildlife, impairs domestic, agricultural, industrial, recreational, and other beneficial uses of air and water. Again, in the Constitution, Article 2, Section 8, a public office is a public trust. The people have the right to secure and sustain that trust against abuse. Finally, there is Article 10, Section 13, provision shall be made by general law for bringing suit against the state to all liabilities now existing or hereafter existing. That editorial in my local paper ended this way: no fracking in Florida, not now, not ever.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll take your questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, I do.
Yes, sir. Senator.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're
We
quite
have a
welcome.
bill, along with Representative Rodriguez, that will actually establish some regulation. And I would tell you that there are a lot of people here that are on various sides of this issue, and we're going to hear from others that are in the audience, and I think that the way they present their case can be more effective than the way you've just presented your case. I don't think your presentation was very effective to keep open ears on the subject. Having said that, I will continue to pledge open ears on the subject, even in spite of the attack sounding tone of your comments. I think Senator Benaquisto was correct. This is not personal. Right now, today, there is no regulation whatsoever in place of a fracking activity, nor is there any disclosure requirement. So at this point, we're moving in the right direction. And that'll be the end of my comment.
May I respond to that? Your bill and Representative Rodriguez's bills, and I have copies of them right here, and I imagine the new bills that are being replaced for the 2016 session, okay, I've read those, okay, they're a joke. Excuse me, I apologize if you take that personally, but I don't see, the regulation is on the people, and the regulation, you mentioned the chemical disclosure thing.
Is your intention here today to provide facts, or to hear, or to take a stand and hot dog on this issue?
My intention here today is to provide a comment, okay? I don't hear anyone listening to facts. Have you read what the problems are with fracking? Have you heard anything about that? You know, I've been to the Bakken Reserve. You're a banker, right? And I read about that, all right? The only people that are happy in Williston, North Dakota, is the bank president, because he gets these royalty checks that come in. But the vast majority of North Dakotans in the Bakken Reserve, all around the area, they don't make a dime. If you think there's a lot of money in oil, look at Texas. I've been through Texas lots of times. There are people living in mobile homes in Texas. And I don't mean luxury mobile home parks. Not everybody gets this money, just a select few.
Okay, so we've got others here just as.
All right, okay.
Would you
Thank
like
you
to see
very
the
much.
status quo?
Thank you.
Would you prefer to see no bill whatsoever?
Yes, sir. No,
thank
what
you.
I would prefer to see is you sponsor, may I finish? I mean, if you want to take my words out of context, then we'll, let's go out of context. What I would like to
Mr.
see.
Silvestri, I think we're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank
you,
you,
Mr.
sir.
Chairman.
I appreciate it. All right. We will move to the Stone Crab Alliance. The Dwyers, I have Dr. Karen and Dr. John Dwyer. Are they here today? Good afternoon.
The Stone Crab Alliance is a 40-year-old organization whose thousands of members rely on Southwest Florida for their livelihood and recreation. Oil and gas legislation brings us here today. We ask you to not support Senate Bill 318 because it would cause more harm than good and take away rather than add protections. This bill does not represent community concerns. It does not ban fracking, restrict water use, impose buffers, plug abandoned boreholes, or significantly increase fines. It is not the strong oil and gas laws we were promised. Instead, it would continue to allow fracking and the non-disclosure of toxic chemicals. Worse yet, it would take away the home rule right of local government to protect itself with bans, setbacks, traffic restrictions, and everything else the state does not and will not consider when issuing drilling permits. This is an unfriendly bill. Presently, counties have the power to safeguard public safety, community character, and quality of life by limiting drilling in inappropriate areas because of zoning issues and incompatible land use. These powers exist and have been successfully exercised by Bonita Springs and Broward County, to name just two, to endorse a bill that would strip local governments of their home rule right is not in the public interest. It is a betrayal of the worst kind, especially because we know drilling may strain water supplies, increase truck traffic, produce noise and light pollution, reduce property values, and disturb residents. Only local government can address these issues, not the state. There are no state standards that address these local impacts. Therefore, it is imperative to allow local government to oversee these critical safeguards under their existing home rule authority. Communities should not be left defenseless. We know DEP won't protect us. They're overworked, underfunded, and crippled by laws written by and for the oil industry. We would rather have no new legislation than this bad bill that would take away local protections. Reject Senate Bill 318 or any bill that would preempt home rule, diminish public safety, and fast-track fracking in Florida. Please support legislation that would ban all well stimulation, restrict freshwater use, impose 1-mile buffers, plug abandoned boreholes, disclose all chemicals, and significantly increase fines. And finally, secure enforcement power. In short, endorse Senator Bullard's fracking ban, as well as more stringent regulations on all drilling. Thank you for your service to Southwest Florida and for allowing me to speak. Good luck this session.
Thank you, Dr. Dwyer. We appreciate it. And I believe the other Dr. Dwyer?
The other Dr.
All right.
Dwyer. Thank you. Pope Francis reminds us that St. Francis in 1200 AD insisted that part of the friary garden be left always untouched so that wildflowers and herbs could grow there and those who saw them could contemplate the creator of such beauty. Today, we can institute a legal framework which sets clear boundaries and ensures the protection of our natural resources. Collier Resources tells the old lie. Oil in this area is located about 12,000 feet below the surface, so far below freshwater sources that aquifers are protected from fracking chemicals by 7 impermeable barriers, pushing everyone to believe in the fiction of the computer-assisted drawings, and into believing that the layers of pipes and concrete casings penetrating the aquifers will never, ever leak. We learn in chemistry class that there is no such thing as impermeable barriers, and that all pipes leak. And in geology class that one of the reasons little oil or gas has ever been found here is that our porous karst geology is filled with holes, an enormous plumbing system within the 16,500 foot thick carbonate rocks we stand upon. Furthermore, we have unplugged deep holes drilled during the past 70 years. The deadly fracking fluids do not safely stay in underground pools far from the surface, just as oil does not wait in subsurface pools for our pumping it to the surface. The waters beneath us do flow freely. These waters do move up and down and sideways. We should not depend upon the assurances of the oil industry, its geologists, and its attorneys. Nor can we depend upon the FDEP or the EPA. The new drilling technology is not safe. Saying does not make it so. Geologists working for the oil industry lack scientific objectivity and produce idealized versions of science heavily influenced by their subjective biases. If they admit that it causes permanent water contamination, as well as dangerous air and soil pollution, they cannot make a living. We must insist with Francis that the garden that is South Florida always be a part of the Earth's surface that is left altogether untouched by the oil industry, which is quite likely to transform our paradise into a wasteland. It's not the colliers who are at risk. It's not the drillers or oil companies who are at risk. It is all of us who are at risk. Laws preempting the people's power to regulate fracking have already passed in Ohio, Texas, Oklahoma, and they are now on the agenda of this Florida legislation. It is essential that you stop this one while you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dwyer. Up next, we have Ron Hamill, representing the South Florida Ag Council, the Gulf Citrus Growers Association. Good afternoon, Mr. Hamill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Lee County Delegation. For the record, Ron Hamill with Gulf Citrus Growers, and also representing the Ag Council today. First, I'd like to thank this group for your efforts to help fight citrus greening through funding, research funding that has been provided to our industry over the past few years. And like to say at the same time that we read that we're having smaller crops. In fact, Commissioner Putnam put out a press release a couple days ago indicating that this was the smallest orange crop in 50 years. So although we're making progress, it sounds like we're going downhill, but growers here in this region are actually planting new trees. So we're optimistic that the research is working, moving forward, and I wanted to thank you for your effort to bring funding to date in support of our effort to battle greening. Again this year, Commissioner Putnam is putting research money in his budget. I have sent in, for the record, recommendations. We request $8.5 million to support the Citrus Research and Development Foundation, the CRDF, which is really the organization here in our state that is moving forward with the Commissioner's Office and research to fight this greening, among other diseases. But predominantly the focus is on greening and solving our HLB crisis, which is really devastating our industry. In addition, due to our reduction in crops, many of you know that the Florida Department of Citrus is the marketing arm for Florida citrus. And because of the crop reduction, the budget to promote Florida orange juice and citrus has been drastically reduced. At this time, there is a request from the department for $7 million in general revenue to help offset its marketing budget to help promote Florida orange juice. Also, for a citrus request, I believe in the Commissioner's budget, $600,000 for new varieties. And these are new trees and plants that are coming in that can produce citrus, actually produce quicker, but also provide a variety that consumers are demanding. Right now, a lot of the cuties and a lot of other varieties that are going into the schools are not coming from Florida, but they could. So we're moving forward and trying to bring in new technology to grow these varieties here in the state. So there is some funding there. Also, you all have been very supportive of our Southwest Florida Research and Education Center, University of Florida, IFAS, and Immokalee. I want to particularly call out Senator Richter for your great support in helping us last year to get the center off the ground, get it going, and all of y'all played an important pivotal role in that, but I know that Senator went above and beyond, and we certainly appreciate that, Senator. Calvin Arnold, Dr. Calvin Arnold is with us today as the center director, and Calvin has come over to revitalize that center and make it a very important part of our industry here in the region, and is doing a great job. So again, this year we call on your good support. I know the IFAS budget has got $3.5 million in there, but we also have some special requests that we're going to be bringing forward specifically for the center in Immokalee. We're crossing T's and dotting I's and getting those numbers. So as soon as we have them, we'll make you aware of those. But again, I just want to thank you for your support of our industry. We're battling to survive in Florida citrus. Y'all have been reading about it, but we are making progress, and through the center in Lake Alfred, and actually global research that's going on to try to solve this deadly disease. They have it in Texas and California, so it's U.S.-wide. The federal government is putting in funds along with the growers themselves to fight this, but we certainly appreciate your years of support for the center and for helping us with the greening disease. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the delegation? Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Excellent. We've got made it now. The Lee County Housing Finance Authority, I'm told, has made it. Yes, sir. Come on up, and then we'll move back to the agenda, and following Housing Authority will be Americans for Prosperity.
Thank you, legislators. My name is Walter Barletta, and I'm chairman of the Lee County Housing Finance Authority. The Lee Authority is the single-family bond issuer for Region 8. Region 8 incorporates Sarasota, Charlotte, Lee, Collier, Hendry, Glades, and Monroe counties through a series of interlocal agreements. And in addition, DeSoto County and West Palm Beach County also participate in our program. Basically, I'm here briefly to tell you thank you. Thank you for funding housing as you have in the last legislative period, and we hope that you will continue to fund it. It's very important to the Affordable Housing Coalition. The Sadowski Act is specifically what I'm talking about, and we'll hope that we can continue to count on your support in the future for funding through Sadowski. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Any questions from the delegation? Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Up next, Americans for Prosperity, Mr. Pichet, followed by Heather Mazurkowitz.
Good afternoon, everyone. And a special thanks to all the members of the Lee County Legislative Delegation. My name is Louis Pichet. I'm a field director with Americans for Prosperity Florida. And I just wanted to quickly go over our 5 for Florida plan with you. Number 1 is making taxes fair and ending political favoritism. We'd just like to encourage you that the tax code that picks winners and losers, that we're not doing that. We encourage you to enact broad-based tax cuts that benefit all Floridians, as you did in the last session, and end politically favored subsidies. In 2016, legislators should allow the Film Initiative program to expire and stand firm against enacting any new subsidies or tax carve-outs for special interests. Number 2, don't make financial promises taxpayers can't keep. Please support reforms to unsustainable government programs like Medicaid that jeopardize our future financial security. In 2016, legislators should stand behind their 2015 decision not to expand Medicaid in Florida, but instead of expansion, to reform state health care regulations to help make health care more accessible and affordable to all Floridians. Number 3, be stewards of good, transparent government. We encourage you to increase transparency and accountability for taxpayer dollars that are handed out as financial incentives. In 2016, legislators should advocate for more transparency regarding government contracting and emphasize responsible use of state funds by local governments and government associations. Number 4, empower kids with the best education. Expand Florida's programs for students that don't want to take the traditional public route and give those programs the resources needed to succeed. In 2016, legislators should strengthen the ability of parents and students to choose the education options that best suit the student. And lastly, number 5, free entrepreneurs to pursue the American dream. Eliminate unnecessary regulations and licensing, and stop using regulations to protect or encourage one industry over another. Thank you very much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Members, any questions? Appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Up next, Heather Mazurkowitz to talk to us about a couple different topics, followed by Bob Clayton.
Good afternoon, members of the delegation. My name is Heather Mazurkowitz, and I'm here to talk to you about the 2016 Lee County Days and Florida Cancer Presumption for firefighters. First, we'll start off with the Lee County Days. Next year, we'll be up there. It'll be our 13th year. I still can't believe it. This last trip that we had in 2015, I have to say, I believe was probably one of the most successful. And it wasn't any legislation that came out of it, as it was more the diversity that we had of the group. We had representation from local elected officials, from education, from environmental groups. We had mental health up there. Veterans were covered. It was a really diverse group, so I was really proud of the people that came out and supported that trip. And the trip for me, and I believe everybody else that goes on it, is twofold. It's to bring to you the issues that are facing your community and bring them up to Tallahassee. But the part that I really enjoy and why I really love to do this trip is the education for the attendees about the process. The majority of the people, probably half most of the time, understand the process, but there's always a few that have never been up to Tallahassee, and it is sometimes overwhelming and can be intimidating. And when they get to go with a group of people that have done things like this and then get to meet you while you're working and understand the environment that you have to work under, we're really proud of that. So next year we will be up there. Travel Day will be February 9th, and then we will be in the Capitol talking to you all on the 10th and 11th. I have no paperwork for you. I will follow up with your staff members after this. Last year, I stood up here in front of you, a struggling student at the Fire Academy. This year I stand up in front of you as a state certified firefighter, but also a struggling EMT student, but that's a whole nother conversation. I also asked for support for Florida for cancer presumption legislation. 34 states currently have presumption legislation that covers firefighters. Florida is not one of them. I am beyond proud to be standing up here today knowing that Representative Fitzenhagen has filed House Bill 345. We have on the Senate side, Senate Bill 456 with Senator Latvala. I know that we met with Senator Richter's office, who has been very supportive, and I know we'll get the support of Representative Caldwell. We're still working on him, but no. But we really are. I know that we have a long road to go with this bill, but it is vitally important. And the fact that the filing on the House side has come out of the Lee County delegation is it speaks volumes to what you all do, and the firefighters are very thankful for that. It's my understanding we'll have some fiscal impact information after the first of the year, and we assure you that we will get you whatever information you need, and we will be up there throughout committee and throughout session to help educate other members of the legislature. So thank you very much for your time today, and I'd be remiss if I didn't, once again, always point out what an amazing job your staff members do. With regard to Lee County Days, it wouldn't be possible without their assistance, but this is literally the first time that I have taken a bill from infancy all the way, hopefully, through the entire process. And every member of your staff, whenever I have asked for any kind of advice or how to handle it, has been right there to try to help. So I thank you very much for that, and we appreciate your time today.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Members?
Okay. Thanks.
And good luck on the next one. Thank you very much. Up next, we have Bob Clayton, followed by Mark Generalis.
Thank you. My name is Robert Clayton. I live and vote in Lee County, but I built a house up in Tarpon Springs made of hempcrete. And as a result, I was asked to speak up in the legislature in 2015. From that work, we were able to secure a unanimous decision in the Senate Agricultural Committee and in the Senate Justice Committee, but the bill was lost on the calendar. And this year we're going to be back again, so I'm urging your support for those bills. We have House Bill 271 has just been resubmitted, and I don't have the Senate bill at this point. But Adam Putnam, Commissioner Putnam, did ask the University of Florida Institute for Agricultural Sciences, IFAS, to study hemp, and they did produce their study, and this is that study. Now, in there, they reference the study in Manitoba, and I want to point out that Manitoba is 1.28 million people, and they produced this report. Florida is 19.86 million people, and we produced this report. So we feel that they kind of missed the point, and we want to make sure that we're up there and getting that point across. In fact, I do have to make a phone call to Putnam's office. I want you to realize that hemp is a clean green plant. It is low in THC, but it is high in CBD, and that's what distinguishes hemp from marijuana. If it's high in THC, it's low in CBD, and that's marijuana. But we are high in CBD, and that's very important because CBD right now is selling for 7 times the price of gold on a troy ounce to troy ounce basis. This is because people are very interested in the health qualities in cannabidiol. I want you to realize that hemp fights weeds naturally, and this is very important because half of the farmland in America now has glyphosate-resistant weeds. And this means that this is now coming before the House Committee on Agriculture in Washington to study this issue, because they want to add 2,4-D to this GMO seed so that it will have a two herbicide cocktail on the farms. But that means they have to make a double GMO seed. So we've already lost our first GMO seed. We have to go to double GMO. And this is just the wrong way to go. We want you to realize that you can fight weeds naturally, and the traditional way to do that is rotate your crops. Hemp is an excellent rotation crop because it drives out weeds naturally. It just physically crowds them out. There are usually 500 million seeds in every acre of land. So, I mean, this is a serious problem for farmers. And they've been doing this for centuries in Europe, and they don't need GMOs. They're fighting GMOs, and they've actually tried to outlaw GMOs. They don't need it because they rotate crops. And we should be doing that too. Now, hemp will bring up the deep level nutrients. When we grow vegetables, for example, our roots are very shallow, and we keep putting fertilizer on top, and that goes down into the soil and into the aquifer. And we've heard several people complain about the water supply. Well, that's your nitrates in the water supply. When in the 60s, I used to dive in the sinkholes. We had gin clear water. I've been up to Silver Springs to see it again, and it's just slime green water. So we do have this serious problem that we're dealing with. Hemp can fight that. As a bedding, in the animal bedding, you have 90 million birds in Florida, and 24% of chickens have salmonella in it. But when you use hemp core for a bedding, there is no salmonella, there is no campylobacter. It fights those bacteria naturally. So we get a healthier food supply whether or not you eat the seed. But the seed is very nutritious. You have in your brain right now 3.6 ounces of omega-3 oil, and 1 tablespoon of hemp seed oil every day would resupply that. So hemp seed is important for brain nutrition, it's important for general nutrition, it's high in protein, and it is a good balance because we eat corn today and it has no omega-3s in it. And this is why we have this omega-3 crisis. Now, when you're low in omega-3s, you have anger, violence, paranoia, depression, bipolarism disease. Well, these are all the things on the evening news. So we do have a crisis going on. We do need to get a healthier food supply back. Our fiber is the strongest fiber, natural fiber, and it goes from rough fiber for carpets, and it goes all the way to soft fiber for jersey t-shirts. It's the only fiber that can do that. It's very important for reinforced plastics, and that will be a huge industry. When you use hemp reinforced plastics, you get about 80% of carbon fiber strength for 25% of the cost. So you will be seeing that in cars, and that's very important to you. Loss of acreage. We are losing 4% of our acreage in Florida every decade, but we're going to have 30 to 40% more people in the world. Where's the food going to come from? We're losing land to housing development because we just can't afford to keep farming. The farmers are giving up. We have the second oldest farmer in America, and that is because the kids just are not staying on the farm. They don't see any reason to stay on the farm. They see no economic benefit. They think they're better off going somewhere else. We're going to need those farmers, and we need to make something economic on the farm that they can use. Hemp makes money. They can net $200 an acre with hemp. They can only net $75 an acre with soybean. So, I mean, it's a valuable crop for the farmers. That's very important. Your average farm is only 200 acres. That's a small family plot. Jobs, we are going to make jobs. More importantly, these are jobs that you cannot outsource. These won't be going overseas to China. These factories have to stay near where the farmers grow the material. These will be 30-year jobs. These will be jobs for the people that really need them. They're the blue-collar, working-class people that made this country. And so that concludes my speech, if you have anything more.
Excellent. Members, any questions? Yes, Representative Fitznagan.
Thank you for your presentation. What percentage of the hemp plant, when it's cultivated, are you able to use in these different products? And is there a final byproduct of the hemp plant that remains? And if so, what is that and what do you do with it?
Very often they leave the root in the ground, but there are actually people who want to buy that root because it has special qualities. It's been a tradition in Chinese herbal medicine, for example, so they buy a lot of it. It's good for foot creams and things like that for some reason, I don't know why. So they will actually buy the roots too, but we can use the greens. Now the greens are highly nutritious. They rival alfalfa for silage, and but it produces 2 to 4 times as much silage. So we'll be taking the greens. That's where the CBD is, up in the green part. We can take the core, the stalks, and we can use the core fiber for the bedding, as we discussed, and in the housing that I described. I should point out that we can design a hempcrete house that eliminates nearly half of the CO2, and I'm currently saving 30 to 50% on my energy bill, so I'm saving that carbon as well. So there will be tremendous savings in energy to the state as well. But we will use virtually all of the plant. In fact, I'm seriously considering we might just drag a chain behind a tractor and grub it out of the ground and let the factory dismantle it. It's one plant that can do almost everything.
Anyone else? We appreciate you being here today. Thank you, sir. Up next, Mark Generales, followed by Kevin Jarzynski.
Good afternoon, Chairman Caldwell, and to all of you. My first comment is congratulations to you for your patience, your objectivity, and the manner in which you've conducted yourselves today. I left office about 9 years ago as a county council member, and I remember having to go through the same sort of process. And you guys have done a great job from the little that I've seen. Brings back a lot of memories. I'm here today first to say thank you. You helped last year to get through the legislative process some funding, which I'm going to walk through again, that was ultimately blocked by the governor. And I want to make a quick point. As you'll hear, I came up this day as an individual, not as a member of an organization, because an organization can't lobby you. I would have folks here with me if it was possible, but they're precluded by state rules. Citizens support organizations to state parks can't lobby. So as a consequence, even though the governor's office has said that our request for funding for the project I'm going to walk you through didn't come through a normal process, it's not really something that we could possibly do. So I'm here on my own, and I hope you'll walk through this presentation with me. I've given each one of you one of these. If you have it handy, if you can pull it out, you can take a peek. It's good because it drives some couple points home about why we're here in Florida at the very least. The very first picture pretty much tells me why I came to Florida, and I think it tells most of the folks why they're here too. By the way, it's also on your computers. It's in the binders. This is Lovers Key State Park. Between North Captiva down to Keewaydin Island in Collier County, it's pretty much the only spot that's unbroken along the coastline without development. And if you look behind it, you'll see Estero Bay. What a dramatic part of the ecology this entire area is, and generating quality water for us in every way possible. The next picture gives you a picture of the park itself, and I would point out to you that from here on, all of the pictures that are in here were given to me by volunteers at the park. It's a tremendous place. In 2014, Lovers Key was the #2 park with attendance in the state of Florida. 974,000 visitors, ranks it almost, it's very interesting. If you look at Epcot as an example, Epcot gets 5 million, 20% of the visitors to Epcot basically at Lovers Key. The dramatic impact on our area. 2.5 miles of beach, as you can see in the next picture, which is where most people go. What they miss is that there are 8 miles of nature trails. And in the process, park revenues of over $682,000 last year. And as you can see the pictures going through here, you'll note that in 2014, over 200 volunteers put in over 14,000 hours. I'm just flipping on through if you follow me through. This next picture is kind of interesting. One of the events that we hold every year is called the Turtle Trot. Basically, it's a race 5K, 700 people come out. It's a very, very big event. The park is used heavily. In 2014, and these are state statistics, and this is what I think the governor missed, and hopefully you can help me help them understand how significant the park is. In 2014, the park generated, according to state statistics, 750 full-time equivalent jobs across our area. When you look at these pictures, envision what the visitor comes to see. This is what we're all about. And when you walk the beach in the park, you'll notice the languages that are spoken aren't English. We'll hear German, we'll hear French, we'll hear folks from all over. The accommodation taxes that are generated and all the other things that happen for our area are significant. In 2015, we know the park alone will generate about $880,000 in revenues. This is a good friend for all of us, isn't it? The park itself has 10 full-time staff. And note, in 2014, the state estimated that the park's contribution to our local economy, $72,600,000. It is a dramatic impact on our particular area and of such importance. That's why I thank you all for helping us last year and getting a request through. What are we looking to do? And by the way, we've changed the name of the project. The project remains the same, but we wanted to rename it in a way that was proper, an environmental education center. This is a 3,600 square foot facility. Note that today we have no indoor facility to teach, to provide exhibits, to meet with people, to provide brochures, to do all of the things that you would normally do. As a consequence, we miss opportunities to help our local folks and those who come visit us understand the unique ecological impact that the park has and get a view of what really old Florida is through the exhibits and all of the other things that we can do. We're not able to teach the school children the way we should, and that's a large part of this. This building will be LEED, manned by volunteers, owned by the state. And the request that I've got for you, which is also part of what I've handed out, is very similar to last year. You have it in your package. We're looking for funding over multiple years to get this job done. Is roughly a $3 million request over a couple of years. So the extent to which we can get to the governor and get their approval along with yours is significant. I need your help, whatever I can do, wherever we need to go, wherever I need to go in terms of helping the governor to understand and the rest of the legislators, would be significant. Happy to answer any questions I can. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with all of you, and thank you so much for what you did last year. Sorry we didn't get it through. Hopefully we can this year.
Thank you, Mark. Members, any questions? We appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank you for being here today. Up next is Kevin Drzezinski here. I didn't see him. All right, Dan Doherty. Followed by Steve Pygott. Good afternoon, Dan.
Good afternoon. Mr. Chairman, members of the delegation, thank you for having me this afternoon. First order of business is that I'd like to thank you all for your strong pro-life voting records. Today I rise to speak for the most vulnerable among us, the unborn child in his mother's womb. Unfortunately, for so many, a dangerous place. In a move born out of desperation, Planned Parenthood CEO Cecile Richards has announced that effective immediately, and this announcement was made just yesterday, effective immediately, Planned Parenthood affiliates will no longer accept money in exchange for aborted baby parts. Now, if you were somehow under the impression, or you know someone who's under the impression that Planned Parenthood was not selling dead baby body parts, I guess we can put that to bed now. Because yesterday, their CEO announced that they will no longer take money for dead baby body parts. Okay? After years of using this forum to advance a narrative, a false narrative, about all the good that Planned Parenthood does in our communities, a different story is starting to emerge. These folks, if you recall, we talked about last year, these are the folks who actually sent a representative into your chambers in Tallahassee to lobby for after-birth abortion. After-birth abortion. They came to your chambers and lobbied for after-birth abortion. Now a different story is emerging. The false narrative is being exposed. For an example, and all of this information I'm going to share with you today is very easily accessible and verifiable. And I'll leave my papers right here for the chair for the benefit of the delegation. False narrative. Washington Post claim that abortion is only 3% of what Planned Parenthood does. A lie. Washington Post. Now, we've all heard, if we've been paying attention to this story, we've all heard that, of course, there have been some videos, 10 videos that have been released about Planned Parenthood personnel negotiating for the sale of dead baby body parts and talking about how they can manipulate abortions to preserve the parts that they can deliver to the procurers. We've heard about those videos. There's been 10 of them have been released. And from the first video, the narrative from Planned Parenthood has been the videos have been manipulated. They've been doctored. It's not true what you're seeing on the videos. In other words, believe us, not your own eyes. Okay? September 28th, 2015, Digital Forensics Analysis Report delivered to the Alliance for Defending Freedom, prepared by Coal Fire Systems Incorporated. There's been 10 videos released, okay, and now that's been stopped by a judge, by a court. These 10 videos that were already released have been released. They were released to this Coal Fire Systems Incorporated. Here's their report. It was released the morning that Cecile Richards testified in front of Congress in Washington. Here's their report. No manipulation. No doctoring of the tapes. This is the forensic report. So your eyes weren't lying to you. What you saw was true. Now, where do we stand? The House in Washington launches full-time committee to investigate Planned Parenthood selling aborted baby parts. The House of Representatives has held 4 hearings already into the Planned Parenthood abortion business and the scandal surrounding its sales of aborted babies and their body parts. Because the abortion company receives almost $500 million in taxpayer funds, House Republicans want to investigate Planned Parenthood much more intensely than the hearings have allowed. To that end, the House today approved a select panel on abortion and the sale of baby body parts that will spend a year thoroughly investigating the Planned Parenthood abortion business amid the brewing scandal of its selling aborted babies and appearing to break multiple federal laws in so doing. The select panel is being formed in response to the information revealed by the videos released by the Center for Medical Progress, and it will consist of 8 Republicans and 5 Democrats. The work of this panel will be in addition to the ongoing investigations at the Judiciary Committee and Oversight and Government Reform Committee. Here's a step-by-step primer on the 4 laws that Planned Parenthood has broken. Quickly, illegal profiting from the sale of baby parts. This is what this committee will be investigating as we go forward. Illegal profiting from the sale of baby parts. Illegally manipulating abortion procedures. Committing illegal partial birth abortions. And illegally committing abortions with the knowledge that the baby will be donated. There are laws that have been broken. Executive summary of 44 audits. 44 audits. The weight of the evidence indicates that waste by Planned Parenthood affiliates may be widespread, suggests that such policies may be the result of, at a minimum, a policy of benign neglect over billing practices, organization-wide by Planned Parenthood Federation of America's headquarters in New York City. There's a lot of allegations floating around. Contraceptives by mail, contraceptives that are purchased from the government for $2.36 for a 30-day supply and sold for $30, and no policing going on. So 44 audits on that. Yes, we've got it right here. We've got it right here. Last year we talked about how I object as a citizen and a taxpayer of the United States of America. I object to my federal income taxes being used to fund the political campaigns of my political opponents. Okay? Here's a list. I have a list here of the top 25 recipients of Planned Parenthood campaign cash. And you all can breathe a sigh of relief. You're not on here. Oh, let me double check. No, none of you guys are on here, okay? But I object to this, okay? There's no reason why we should be standing still for something like this going on. My money to fund the campaign of your opponent. And lastly, why do we need Planned Parenthood? I'll tell you why we need Planned Parenthood. We need Planned Parenthood because of what just happened very recently in Mobile, Alabama, where I was married. I've been there many times. Married a Southern belle. I'm what you call a damn Yankee. I'll tell you about that later. But in Mobile, and I know exactly where this place is, all right? Planned Parenthood clinic ignored multiple rapes of the same 14-year-old girl. That's why we need Planned Parenthood. Because if I want to rape an underage girl and she gets pregnant, where else can I take her to cover up my crime? Come to find out, this 14-year-old girl, she already had 2 children. Got it. Okay. Last year I ended with a quote from Thomas Jefferson. This year, Mother Teresa. I feel the greatest destroyer of peace today is abortion, because it is a war against the child, a direct killing of the innocent child, murder by the mother herself. And if we can accept that a mother can kill even her own child, how can we tell other people not to kill one another? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you being here today. Up next, Steve Pygott, followed by Karen Hudden, and then we have a good number of citizen requests today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Steve Pygott, and I'm a proud alumnus to Florida State University and a member of the Alumni Association. During the last session, the legislature appropriated $5 million on top of the recurring $20 million in preeminence funding that the university was already receiving. Thank you for that. Additionally, the university met metrics set up by the Board of Governors and received another $17 million. So again, thank you for the continuing funding of my university. Going forward, we would hope you would support preeminence funding. It will help Florida State University achieve its goal of becoming a top 25 national university. Increases in state funding have allowed FSU to hire 57 new professors and 8 entrepreneurs in residence. Additionally, this fall, the most academically acclaimed freshman class in Florida State history arrived. These 6,213 freshmen entered the university with a GPA of 4.0 and an average SAT score of 1858. I would not even think about applying in my day if that was the requirement. Even more remarkable, 1/3 of these freshmen were the first member of their family to go to college. In fact, 119 Lee County first-time college students joined the 623 Lee County students that already enrolled at Florida State. Senators and representatives, Florida State University's economic impact on the state of Florida totals more than $8 billion. This includes the earnings of 189,909 graduates working in our state. Also included in that number are 2,747 alumni here in Lee County. I want to thank you for your support and urge you to continue support not only Florida State but the entire university system to continue to strengthen the economy of Florida. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Appreciate your advocacy for Florida State. It's a fine institution, but I'm wondering if you care to comment on the football rankings. You're number 11 behind the number 8 Florida Gators.
Well, that all tends to work itself out. Things happen, as we've seen this week. And I'm not saying they won't happen to us, because anybody that reads, been around a while knows we're good at doing stupid stuff too.
We have to.
So hopefully it will make for an interesting game Thanksgiving weekend.
Listen,
I'm just worried about Louisville.
We're going to talk about something far less controversial. The next topic is fracking again.
Yeah.
So
I've already
moved past
I
football.
followed the earlier fracking. I got here in time, so I think I'll stay.
Thank you, Mr. Pike.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. All right, Kieran Hudden. And then, since you're going to be talking about hydraulic fracturing, let me go ahead. The citizens' comments that I have in the last period, Ruth McGregor on the topic, Mr. Judah, I don't think he's still here, and Linda Schwartz, I have wants to speak on this topic as well. So, go right ahead and kick us off.
Hi, I'm Karen Hudon, and in addition to the material I sent to you, I have another article entitled "John Hopkins Study Links Fracking to Premature Births, High-Risk Pregnancies," and I have 4 copies. We need to ban fracking in Florida. Recent studies conducted by medical and other organizations have emerged which link fracking operations with serious harm to human health. In regions where fracking is taking place, many American people are being exposed to dangerous and carcinogenic chemicals, resulting in cancer and other diseases across an array of medical specialties. The correlation between fracking operations and human illness is substantiated by huge increases in medical costs in regions where fracking takes place compared to places where fracking does not take place. Our legislature has not given this issue the level of scrutiny that Floridians deserve. The debates in the last legislative sessions fall far short of the diligent investigations needed for adoption of legislation which could have very serious impacts on human health. In addition, the Nobel Prize-winning group Physicians for Social Responsibility warned our legislature about the dangers to public health which fracking presents. The short amount of time allotted in the last legislative session for the doctor's presentation was very inadequate, given the great importance of his statements. Our country prematurely exempted the energy industry from safety and environmental laws. This exemption has proven to be a complete failure to the American people. Given the results of recent and emerging studies which strongly link fracking to serious adverse medical conditions, I believe it is imperative that you withdraw all pro-fracking bills and support Senator Soto and Senator Ballard's bills for a statewide ban on fracking. In so doing, you will send a message to all Floridians that you care about them and are not willing to take risks with their health. Thank you.
Ma'am, members, appreciate you being here this afternoon. Ruth McGregor. Hello, Ms. McGregor. Followed by, is Ms. Schwartz still here? Oh, there you are. Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, legislators. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak today. A few of you I've met on future previous events regarding our environment. I represent Sierra Club Calusa Group, over 1,500 members covering Lee, Glades, Collier, and Hendry County. Coming from someone that grew up in Texas, I was born and raised in Dallas, and I also grew up in Houston. I'm very well aware of what fracking does to our environment, our water supply, our health, and it is not for Florida. I moved here in 1992, and when I found out what was going on with the Hogan well, I was outraged. I could not believe that that was something that would take place in such a beautiful state. We cannot roll the dice with our environment. It's probably pretty clear to you which Senate bill that I support. I support Senate Bill 166 and House Bill 19. In regards to your legislation, Senate Bill 318 and House Bill 191, I urge you to implement maintaining home rule. Our communities, our commissioners, our city councils is our last line of defense in regards to our public safety and our welfare. That is your number one priority as senators and as representatives, is to protect the safety and the public welfare. You know, I don't know what more I can say. It scares me to death that we're looking at ground zero for Florida to become another fracking wasteland. I don't want to see that happen. One thing that's not being talked about at all is the emission flare stacks that come along with fracking, the amount of methane, the VOCs that are pumped into the atmosphere. We cannot afford to pump any more carbon into our atmosphere. It's insane how much carbon we have in the atmosphere right now. We have over 400 parts per million. This is nuts. We need to start focusing our efforts on alternative renewable resources. We need to start focusing our efforts on solar energy. We need legislators that are going to move our state forward regarding solar energy, alternative sources of resources of energy, and we need to be the leaders in this country on solar energy. There's no rhyme or reason other than the obvious that Florida ranks where it does regarding solar energy. New Jersey produces more solar energy than we do. That's insane. We're the Sunshine State. We need to get on board, and we need to start moving forward in regards to solar energy. And we need to start saving the taxpayers, you know, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I urge you to reconsider your vote. I urge you to support Senate Bill 166 and House Bill 19. Thank you for giving me this time to speak today. Any questions?
Absolutely. Any questions? Thank you, Ms. McGregor.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time today. Ms. Schwartz?
Hello, my name is Linda Schwartz, and I've been a full-time resident of Bonita Springs since 2001. I oppose Senator Richter's pro-fracking bill, SB 318, because it does not offer sufficient protection for the community. The bill does not represent community concerns, and it preempts the home rule that we just passed in Bonita Springs. I endorse Senator Bullard's statewide ban on fracking in Senate Bill 316. Please ban fracking and help Floridians better access solar and other renewable energy sources. Thank you.
Ms. Swartz, appreciate you being here today. Again, I don't see Mr. Judah, so I'm going to move past that. All right, we've got a couple of other ones here. We'll go ahead and do AMI Kids. Hey, come on up. And then we'll do Luke Killam from Senator Rubio's office, and Chris Lopez, I think, will round us out with the Realtors. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Marie Clavin, and I'm here representing AMI Kids of Southwest Florida, formerly known as Marine Institute of Southwest Florida. We are a nonprofit day program located in Fort Myers Beach, and we help at-risk children ages 14 through 18, boys and girls. They're referred to us by the Department of Juvenile Justice and Lee County School Districts for nonviolent criminal activity and truancy. And our program has 3 components. We focus on education, behavioral issues, and treatment. Our goal is to help the children move forward with the decisions that they've made in their lives and not let it define them. So we focus on education because 70% of our students come to our school because they have behavioral issues, because they're below level when it comes to education. They can't read, they can't write, so they act out. So we have individual testing for our children every 6 weeks, and we monitor how they grow, and we help them with their individual components because we have small class sizes of less than 10 students. Then we work on a behavioral portion. We have counseling for drug abuse, sexual abuse, anger management, any type of situation that might have emotional issues that they need one-on-one counseling. And then the last portion is treatment. We require all the families to be involved with the students as well, because a lot of the problems come from the environment that they're raised in. And we have successfully been in this community for 20 years, and I wanted to thank you for your support and invite you all to come visit the campus because I think you'd enjoy what you're helping us achieve. So basically, thank you very much.
Excellent. Members?
Any questions?
You guys do have a wonderful group.
Thank you.
Been out there before. Thank you very much for being here today. Mr. Killam, representing Senator Rubio's office.
Hey, how's it going? Like I said, my name is Luke Killam. I'm Southwest Florida Regional Director for Senator Marco Rubio. And just on behalf of the office, I just want to say thank you for all that you do for Florida. And if anyone on the delegation or within the audience needs anything, please don't ever hesitate to call. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Killam. All right, Mr. Lopez. How are you this afternoon?
Very good, Chairman. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome, esteemed delegation. Thank you for your time. I'm glad I'm the last person here to speak to you today. I'm just here to give you an update for the record. My name is Christopher Lopez. I'm the Director of Public Policy for the Realtors Association of Greater Fort Myers and the Beach. We have just recently risen over 5,000 members in our ranks. We have a proposed merger on the board with the Cape Coral Association of Realtors to better benefit all the members in the real estate industry in Southwest Florida. And we're also celebrating a grand opening for a new South Service office location on South 41, south of Alico Road. And that's tomorrow morning from 9 to 12 in case anybody has some free time. I will see you further at GUARD the first week of session, January 12th and 13th. Our Realtor members from all across the state will be in Tallahassee, as you know, and they all look forward to meeting with you. We have secured a office building 28 HOB, the same room that we were in last year, to meet with our delegation, and our members are very much looking forward to that, but they're not looking forward to the cold. I'm here to really speak on one issue, and I'd like to thank Representative Fitzenhagen for her leadership in stepping up to the plate and introducing a bill number 247 in the House and its Senate counterpart 116 to help reduce the business rent tax on commercial leases. This has become the Realtors' #1 priority for this upcoming session. We are looking for just a 1% reduction in the sales tax on commercial leases. It's not a huge swiping erase of all the tax because we understand it's a significant revenue generator for the state, but as part of your guys' goals of reducing taxes every year, and you've done a wonderful job with that, we would like to see some movement on this and all of your support. Representative Eagle has co-signed, and Representative Caldwell, I know, is very supportive of the bill as well. I think a united front from all of our representatives and our senators would send a very strong message to Tallahassee and to companies across the country that want to relocate to Southwest Florida. This would be a huge benefit for the 150,000 Realtor members across the state and the 12,000 Realtor members alone that we have in Southwest Florida. Finally, I'd like to thank Paige, Michael, Lalani, James, Charlotte, Mia, Edward, Matthew Hunter, and Priscilla in the back. I once served as staff for an elected official, and thank you for everything you guys do, and thank you for being so open and so receptive and working as hard as you do for your officials. That's it. All right, thank you very much.
Members, any
questions?
Oh, we have something. All right, we have someone else that will. Yes, we need to fill out a request card, but come on up and give us your 3 minutes. Do we have anybody else in the audience before we got one? We got two more. Okay, let's make sure we get you a request card. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Thank you for hearing me today. My name is Kathy Mayo, and I'm the president of the Fort Myers Naples National Organization for Women chapter in this area. I'm here to ask a favor. I'm asking you to trust women to make health care decisions with their families and their physicians. Every session, there is an effort to control the health and reproductive side of life for women. You're not doing it for men, but there's this overwhelming concern that women need protecting and can't make their own decisions. And I encourage you to defeat bills that second-guess the decisions that are made by women and their healthcare providers. I also encourage you to support legislation that controls guns in our state. We're not the Wild West, and we don't want to be in the future. We want to save the lives of our children. We want to keep guns off campus. Thank you very much for serving and for hearing me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, ma'am. And we'll make sure you get one of the comment cards so we have a record that you spoke today. Who else? Come on up. And then, sir, I think you look like you'll finish this out.
Good afternoon. My name is Margaret Worsley. I'm with the Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council. Excuse me. I just had handed out to you some of the legislative priorities for my council. I want to thank you all for supporting us in the past, even though we haven't been funded. We appreciate your support in getting the funding put into the budget. There are still, even though many of our responsibilities was taken out of the legislature, there are still at least 14 of them that I've listed in this document that we are responsible for and that we are not funded for. So we would again request that you consider putting funding in for the regional planning councils. Also, there's been a lot of talk about an opt-out provision. There was an opt-out provision last year so that counties did not have to be part of a regional planning council. We certainly oppose that. It would be the death knell to all of the regional planning councils if that were to happen. So we're opposed to that. There are a couple more priorities that we have: a regional transportation plan, and certainly the regional visitor center at the old exit 161 off of I-75. Everything is written up in the document. I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. Again, thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Hello. Hello, gentlemen and women. My name is Jerry Beekler. I'm a retired Miami Beach firefighter. The shirt basically says where I stand on banning fracking, but there's a much larger issue here. And that's something I dealt with about 9 years ago, where every time we had a high tide, full moon, even though it wasn't raining, we're responding on Miami Beach to flooded streets. 10th and Alton, 60th and Alton, 20th and Purdy. And the reason is sea level rise, climate change. These are realities. 3 days ago, I was in Hallandale. There's streets that are marked now with signs warning the street floods during high tides. This is a reality all the way up to Fort Lauderdale, who raised their main street where the boys are, that street that was in the movie, they raised it 3 feet. In Key West, they're building fire stations, new fire stations 40 feet higher than ground level. Because their EPA estimates are that on our present course, within 20 years, we're looking at, for Florida, a 14-inch sea level rise. This is another reason I oppose fracking. And there was a couple bills. I called Senator Eagle's office. I tried to arrange a meeting a couple times last year, but it never happened, so hopefully it can happen this year. I'd love to meet with you on this issue. And it has to do with reform of the Public Service Commission. Because right now we have a Public Service Commission that the head of the House, the head of the Senate, they give 6 people each to the governor. He chooses who sits on the board. And what we have, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, is utility lapdogs. And I say that for several reasons. The most recent was approval of charging FP&L customers, the 4.7 million of us, at $500 million, up to $500 million each year to partner with a fracking company in Oklahoma. If you got computers on your phones, look it up right now. Oklahoma has over 2,200 earthquakes at this point, just this year, from a 1.2 to a 4.5 scale. And the Oklahoma Supreme Court has okayed it for homeowners to sue these fracking companies for damages to their homes. This is reality. This is a reality we don't want to look at, but we got to look at it. We got to take our heads out of the sand and start looking at it. Somebody mentioned New Jersey. New Jersey generates almost 2 gigawatts of electricity from solar right now. They have over 250,000 rooftop solar installations. The UK has over 600,000 rooftop solar installations. Germany has millions of rooftop solar installations. Germany at certain days gets 60 to 70% of all of its electricity from the sun in the summer. We can do that here. If we utilize offshore wind, if we utilize solar, we would provide so many needed jobs to the construction company and construction people in Florida, and we'd be saving Florida for a better future for our children. So I implore you, and I really hope that Representative Eagle will take the time to sit down with me so I can educate him on these issues. Methane, for example, getting back to fracking, there's huge, every college, every university who studied the sites where there's fracking going on shows that the methane release is so great that it's worse than the burning of coal. The reason is methane, in its first 20 years, is 37 times more powerful as a heat-trapping gas than carbon dioxide. And over its life, it's 84 times more powerful than carbon dioxide as a heat-trapping gas. It stays around less than carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere for hundreds of years. So just what we've put out already, we haven't felt the effects yet, but it's happening. Yeah. My brother, I talked to him the other day, he's in Minneapolis, St. Paul, there last month. It was 6 degrees warmer in that state than 30-year averages. So yeah, most of the warming is happening in the upper latitudes. But it's going to affect us because we have so much coastal community, and we need to start looking at that and dealing with it and getting on board. The whole planet has to get on board in this issue. This is an issue that we can't hide from. This is an issue we can't ignore. So I appreciate, I would come to any time and show you PowerPoints I've done for groups or present to you information and to educate you on the importance of this issue and the importance to reform our Public Service Commission. Thank you.
Thank you for coming today. Anyone else? Last call, public comment. All right, members, any additional comment from members? All right, I appreciate it. Do we have, make sure we don't have anybody else? All right, with that, Vice Chair Benaquisto moves we rise. Without objection, we have adjourned. Thank you.